course, TCU, not only are they out of the top 4, they're also out of the top 6, which one of those teams is Alabama, who we have watched struggle with even bad teams like A&M at
Alabama
home.
would blow TCU out.
Would they though?
Absolutely.
Would they though?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.
Let's go! Welcome back to the Hall of Fame College Football Podcast. I'm your host, Jason Watkins, back with the frenemy, Mr. Bryce Pinson. And if you love college football, you are definitely in the right place. So before you forget, smash that red subscriber button, like our videos, and don't forget to ring that bell so you do not miss one moment of the Hall of Fame College Football Podcast. Bryce Pinson, what's up, bro?
Not too much, man. Just checking out this this struggling Big 12 conference, and excited to talk about this.
So the struggling Big 12 conference, who's struggling?
Well, I mean, when you got TCU beating a backup quarterback in Oklahoma, they really don't have a good win, and the poll is showing that they're outside the top 4 and they're undefeated. That's not good.
And I agree with you. Now, some of that is going to work itself out, and that's some of the stuff we're going to get into today. Today. Obviously, we're going to start off with Tennessee, Ohio State, Georgia, and Clemson are in the top 4 of the first college football playoff rankings this season. We will also get into, of course, the Oklahoma Sooners that are preparing for what looks like a major exam. For progress for this program to be considered progressing along. We're going to talk about that as well. Going to talk a little bit about some of the Sooner faithful that isn't so faithful, getting on Coach Todd Bates, a little bit about a recruit that they missed out on to Ohio State. We'll talk a little bit about that, but I got a video coming with a recruiting guy that is going to be coming out tomorrow, but we will talk about that as well. And then, of course, TCU, not only are they out of the top 4, they're also out of the top 6, which one of those teams is Alabama, who we have watched struggle with even bad teams like A&M.
Alabama would blow TCU out.
Would they though?
Absolutely.
Would they though?
Yeah.
I don't know. Because I'm going to tell you something. When you go and the game at Texas, they should have lost that. They really, they gave A&M every chance in the world to win, but Jimbo can't get that together at all. Probably their best game was at Tennessee to me, and that's the one they lost. But I could see them losing this week. They play against LSU now, and that's going to help LSU, obviously. But
yeah, where's LSU? LSU is right in there in the top 6.
They're 10. They're number 10, I believe.
Yeah, that many losses, number 10. They beat Alabama this week.
Right.
They're going to be moving up big time.
Right. Also, we're going to obviously get into this game this weekend that's going to have big implications for Georgia playing host to top ranked in the playoff Tennessee. So you're looking at, a situation where this is a huge, huge football game this weekend. We're going to talk about that. Rumors are swirling in College Station about the future of Jimbo Fisher as the Aggies coach. Even though he's got that huge buyout, that may not be guaranteed that he hangs around much longer. We'll talk about that. And then, of course, there is a little bit to talk about with these Big 12 media rights deal. I'm going to break down with Bryce a little bit on what it really means. There's a lot of this information out there that it's like it's a big bump for them, even without Texas and Oklahoma. That's kind of BS. We'll get into that a little bit as well. And then, of course, we will break down that Texas Tech at TCU game this weekend, plus number 24 Texas going to Kansas State. Can they finally win on the road? They're 1-7 now on the road under Steve Sarkisian. I would think that he's going to really, really need to win this, and maybe not necessarily this one because of where Kansas State is. But if you're looking at them, are they more talented than Texas? No way. No way. So you got to, at some point, he needs to show that he better, if he gets a lead in this game in the second half, he better not choke it up, because that could mean trouble for Sark, I think. Anyway, start off though. Let's get into this. Get into the first line of business is obviously for me. Where is that? The overlay. Okay. So the college football rankings. Taking a look at it, number 25 coming in at Central Florida. Obviously, to me, Bryce, I don't know. I don't really have a problem with these early on teams. I was a little surprised to see Texas get into that top 25, because it seemed to me like maybe that was that was showing some respect for the Big 12 that I just didn't really think was there.
Yeah.
So, that's just my feeling on that. But that being said, I could see the other teams in that 25 to 21. You've obviously, the big surprise would be Tulane. I think it's been a surprise for everybody all season that they've played the way they have, though.
Yeah, they're a tough team.
Then you have Oklahoma State. Didn't drop out of the top 25 even after losing 48-0 last week at Kansas State.
I'll tell you what, let me stop right there with the number 17 team, that ACC team. If they win out and they, beat Clemson, which Clemson looks very beatable, you know what I'm saying? That what would the voters do with them? What if they were to win out? Like, do they get in the top four?
If they beat Clemson, I mean, that obviously you have to, I don't know that you switch places with them. But I think that obviously that's a big thing.
Yeah, that team's tough, man. That team is better than, I know they don't play defense, but they score a lot of points and they could be a problem.
I don't even think that's being out of the realm. Now, do they win it? I don't know. They gave them a hard time 2 years ago, I know, and did everything but win it. I believe this one is at Carolina when they play them. It's not this weekend though, is it? No. Let me look here. I'm on that schedule here on one of these pages.
My boys, the Fighting Illini, are in there too. I've bet on them more than just about anyone.
Yeah.
they're right there at 16. Hey, they're a problem too. For anyone they play, they got the best defense in the conference.
Yeah, they do. They do. Look, man, they're going to be a hard out. That's so they may have Michigan left. I don't see anybody else that could beat them. But yeah, they're a tough out. Aside from that, you obviously have Penn State, in there at 15. Utah, let's see, Utah. I mean, that's a tough team.
Look at the Pac-12: Utah, UCLA, SC.
They've
Oregon.
got 4 in the top 14.
I'm telling you, the Pac-12. I remember we had this big argument, who was in more trouble. I think you're probably right that they're in more trouble as far as conference realignment, but the better football teams are in the Pac-12.
At the moment, they are. At the moment. Yeah. But here's the deal. What I'm going to tell you about this number 12 deal here is that I don't believe in UCLA after watching
me neither. ASU's going to beat them.
Against Oregon, that was really the first. They did play Utah. They got them at home. But their first real test of the season, they did not look great in.
I'll tell you right now, Jason, ASU is going to beat UCLA this week. So they're going to be a 2-loss team after this week.
Well, then they'll be out of the running. It won't matter.
Absolutely.
So, but what I would tell you is that either way, this is going to work itself out, because what you have here is Utah is going to be playing Oregon. I believe it's the second to last week of the regular season. It's in Eugene, and then SC and UCLA, they play, I believe, the same week. That is obviously going to have a lot of implications. If Utah was to win that game against Oregon, it's automatic almost that they're going to end up in the championship game against them as well, if SC does what they should do.
Well,
which is beat UCLA.
Well, I think Oregon's the best team in the conference, and I think
we'll
probably see. Yeah, I think, and I don't know if I can
Bo
say
Nix
they're disrespected. I mean, they're
there.
Disrespected that they're behind TCU, in my opinion. But
TCU is undefeated. And
I
listen,
know, but who cares? They ran into a backup quarterback at Oklahoma. None of those
well,
teams
they
looking at
knocked
that
out the
conference,
starter
they're
is what they
bad,
did.
man.
But they were already ahead when they knocked the starter out. So they
Yeah.
were, I mean, they were already ahead of that game. So I'm not going to give you that one because
Mm.
that's not the truth. I
Oregon's better
watched
than
it.
TCU though, regardless to me. SC's probably better.
You know
LSU's
what?
better. Ole
The
Miss is better. There's a lot of
TCU
teams
still
better than
has a lot
TCU.
of meat left on the bone here. They still have to
Oh,
go to Austin.
yep.
They still have to go to Austin. That's one place that, they could definitely slip up there. I think if they win out though, and then they got to, assuming that you continue to get, if Kansas State, even if Kansas State lost this week, I think it's going to be hard for you to expect Texas to go ahead and win out because they still got another road game. And I mean, I don't expect them to win. I'm sorry. I
You
just don't. So
need Kansas State
assuming
to win that game. Oh,
if you're TCU,
TCU needs Kansas State to win
absolutely,
the game
absolutely they do.
because that's their
And
only big win. That's their only
correct.
one to me.
But they still, no matter what, I think that it's clear unless they win out and win the conference title, they don't get into this playoff. And I don't think that that's a
I
right
don't want
thing.
to
And
see
we'll
them.
talk a little bit more about that in a few minutes. But that being said, now you get into the TCU. Obviously, they are in that final spot before the top 6. Hey folks, Jason Watkins, Hall of Fame College Football Podcast. If you'd like to help support our show, we have a fabulous way for you to do so. We have teamed up with the #1 team merchandise retailer in the world, Fanatics. That's right, Fanatics. Now, the next time you need a new hat for your favorite team, shirt, even memorabilia, all you have to do is go to our website first, hofmedia.us/fanatics. That's hofmedia.us/fanatics. At the bottom of the page, there is a blue Fanatics logo. You click on it, then shop as normal. You're going to get up to 65% off everything in the store, and we get a small commission for everything you purchase. It's a win-win. So again, hofmedia.us/fanatics. That's hofmedia.us/fanatics. You help the show and save a bunch by doing so. It's a win-win situation, and we get to continue bringing you fabulous content week after week. You've got number 6 is Alabama, who, again, I believe that they have struggled, and I still think that they've got 2 games that they very easily could lose.
Like if you put Oregon at number 6 right there, would you bat an eye?
No, I wouldn't.
I don't think so either. And I think the team that's disrespected here is freaking Michigan. How is Clemson number 4 over Michigan? Michigan,
because
I
they've
think
beaten ranked teams. Clemson.
Clemson's
Here's the deal
coming
with
off
Michigan
of-
and Ohio State. Here's what I'm going to tell you: Michigan and Ohio State, it's BS because Ohio State. And look,
Clemson.
I'm not
is
telling you
BS.
that Ohio State isn't a great team. Okay. But here's the deal. Who have they played that's pushed them at all that is even any good? They really haven't. Okay. So they don't really have a good win. In fact, that loss for Illinois is not Ohio State, is it? The loss for Illinois, who did it come to? Let's go to that.
Indiana.
To Indiana. Okay.
Yeah, it was a terrible loss.
Okay. So yeah.
And that's why I'm getting so many points on everybody and I keep winning.
Okay, so that's so here's the deal. So they haven't played either Michigan or Ohio State. I don't know if they played both of them or not, but I don't believe in those guys. But even if Ohio State hasn't even gotten that win, and you've got Illinois as high up as you do in this ranking, who have they played? Notre Dame looks better than they did when they played them, but they did beat them bad even. So this so far is, and I'm not saying that Ohio State's not deserving of being in the top 4 because they are undefeated. They're beating the crap out of everybody. The Penn State win, I guess, is good, especially being at Penn State. They won the game pretty handily. So that's the one win I would say is good for them. Michigan, yeah, they beat Penn State pretty good too. I can't really remember anybody else that they've played that's been that good. But one thing I'll say about Alabama is that they keep getting pushed and they just don't look like the same Alabama team that you expect year in and year out. And what I feel like is that's a recency bias, that all that is this, they just are putting them in there just for that very reason, that they're Alabama.
Well, that's why Clemson's in there, because Clemson's played bad all year. They look
But they're
terrible
unbeaten.
against Wake Forest.
You can say that, but Wake Forest and NC State, they've beaten them both. They were both, and they've beaten Syracuse. All those games are ranked wins. They have more ranked wins than anybody except Tennessee.
Was Clemson in the Final Four last year?
No.
Michigan was.
They lost
Michigan
3 games.
was. It should be Tennessee, Ohio State, Georgia, Michigan. And I think Clemson being there is just because of recency bias. Their name puts them there. Just like you're saying with Alabama, I think it's the same way with Clemson. I think if Michigan played Clemson
their
right
defense,
now,
though,
if you out of them.
I don't know that that's the case. I don't.
Well, I think so. I think the 4 best teams I think Oregon's probably one of the 4 best teams in the country.
Here's the deal. Bottom line is this, is that Clemson's going to have to win out too, because they're not going to listen. Whoever's left in that, who have they not played that's big time in that league is just Carolina. Okay. So that's the only one left that they haven't played that's a ranked team.
Yeah. And so they're going to,
if they win that one though, plus they've won all these other games, they beat Florida State, they beat North Carolina State, they beat Wake Forest. All these teams are ranked. They beat Syracuse last week. That was a big win. Okay. So to me, I don't necessarily have a problem with Clemson so much. Could you swap them with Michigan? Sure.
Yeah, but so here's my only problem. Here's where I'm coming from, Jason. The rest of this is going to work itself out. Georgia, Tennessee.
It is going to work itself out.
A bunch of these teams are going to play each other, but Clemson, only North Carolina. I mean, I think they're in, and I don't think they deserve to be in. And I mean, yeah, they're probably going to get in.
You don't think they deserve to be in, knowing who they are?
If you kick Michigan out and they're both undefeated, no, I don't think so.
That's not going to happen. You know why that's not going to happen, Bryce? Because they got to play Ohio State. So somebody is going to lose that game.
Someone's going to be a one-loss team.
Here's what I would tell you. Is that the Big Ten needs to change the way they do things and play the winners. The best 2 teams need to play instead of it being division side, because there is no way for the past 5 years that I can think of that anybody has deserved to be in the freaking conference championship game other than those 2 teams. Maybe a couple of years Wisconsin. But aside from that, I don't want to you can't tell me that these guys don't deserve to play against each other every year. And twice for that matter.
Yeah,
it's kind of the same thing. It's kind of the same deal in the SEC, except for this year, obviously, and it's worked itself out in the SEC. But I got to tell you, to me, there's 2 really elite teams in the Big Ten, and then the rest of them are kind of trashy.
I mean,
I would put the Big 12 right now. Most of the teams in the Big 12 would smoke the Big Ten.
I completely disagree, but we can.
Why? Why do you disagree with that?
No,
okay. The Big Ten is good.
Ohio State would beat everybody in the Big 12. Michigan would beat everybody in the Big 12. I'm not talking about
Ohio State.
Illinois
Michigan.
would probably
I'm saying
beat
the rest of the league.
Yeah. Illinois would probably beat every single team in the Big 12.
There ain't no damn way.
Iowa has one of the best defenses in the country. I don't care that they can't score points. They
couldn't beat Iowa State. They didn't beat Iowa State.
You're right. But I'm just saying they're not going to lose to everybody in the Big 12. I don't even. Let me just go through.
I'm not saying every one of them. What I'm telling you is that aside from those 2 teams, there's
Penn
not
State,
a team. There's
Illinois.
not a team. Listen, aside from Michigan and Ohio State, there is not a team that I would guarantee you beats a single team in the Big 12 right now. There's not one.
I disagree.
Which team are they going to beat? Guaranteed.
Illinois is going to beat everybody in that conference.
No
everybody.
Way. No way.
Everybody.
I know better than that. I know Brett Bielema better than that. They got a good defense.
And then
That's
your
all
other team that you got there, Penn State, is going to beat most of those teams. Most of them.
Maybe. But it's not a guarantee.
You got 4 teams in the Big 10, and you got a letdown of Oklahoma in the Big 12. That's how I feel.
Bro,
if Oklahoma didn't carry,
it's not a letdown for Oklahoma. They're the one team that's like gutted.
I know, but that's what I'm saying. Whenever Oklahoma lets you down, you no longer have a conference. That you need either Oklahoma or Texas to carry. TCU's a joke.
That's silly talk.
Kansas State's a
TCU
joke.
is not a joke. Hey, you're gonna have to
Oklahoma
stop
State's
that.
a joke.
You're gonna have to
Baylor's
stop
a
that, bro.
joke.
You
The
say you're a
Big
Big 12 guy.
trash.
You're saying you're a Big
that's
12
fine,
guy.
but I don't have to root for them. I can call it how I see it. They're not good. The Big 12's not
but
good.
have you watched them then? Have you
Absolutely,
not watched TCU?
I've watched them. I've watched more Big 12 football this year than I have probably in a year because of this podcast. They're trash. This is a trash conference.
I do not believe that team is trash. I think that TCU is a better team than most people are giving them credit for. And I think that they're going to go in, and I do believe that they'll go in and beat Texas just because of the simple fact that Texas has struggled even at home, and maybe they can get ahead or whatever and hold on, but they almost lost to Iowa State. They should have lost to Iowa State. There was 3 different things that happened in the last minute of the game that would have beaten them.
I'll tell you one thing about TCU. If I was betting, I would bet this week they run up the score on Texas Tech. But after and that's just because of this schedule. That's just because they put it out and they're number 8 and they're disrespected, all this. But after that, they're going to have problems with Texas. They're going to have problems with Texas at home. They had to play Baylor. They had to play Iowa State. I'm telling you, they're going to eat their own. There's no one in the Big 12 that is worth it to me. And I'm telling you, the Big 10 is a far better conference. The Pac-12 is a better conference. Not far better, but better. The ACC is better. They're the worst conference in the Power 5 in football.
Who is the Big 12?
Worst conference in the Power 5
you
right
got
now.
to stop saying
100%,
silly stuff, bro.
100%.
You just got to stop saying silly stuff.
Oh my gosh!
You got to stop that. That's
I'm not a fan.
I think that they are.
I think I'm just looking at.
Here's the deal. No, and I'm not a fan. I'm not trying to be a fan here. What I'm telling you is, top to bottom, you're calling parity, meaning that the rest of them are bad, and I don't agree with that. I think that the fact that there is parity in this conference is showing that they are better from top to bottom. You've got some amazing coaches in this thing.
Well, then the Pac-12 has been better than the Big 12 for the last 10 years because that's all they've had is parity. They just beat the crap out of each other. Well, I mean, I don't. Whenever Oklahoma is the only team that's been good for years, and now all of a sudden TCU is deserving.
We've talked about this. As far as that goes, we know where it was with Oklahoma and why. And you know as well as I do, bro, that look, they'll be what they're going to be. Them and Texas are staying in the conference till 25. They're not going anywhere. They've already made that decision. So this is going to be what it is for a while. So we're going to find out what with these new schools coming in next year.
Cincinnati's going to be the number 1 team in the conference.
No, they're not.
They are.
Not next
Absolutely.
year. Look, they lost to UCF. They just got beat by UCF.
Yeah, that's fine. But that's one more year with a fresh new quarterback. They lost their stud, man. They're going to get that quarterback back. I know we need to move on.
Yeah, we're going to move on. And folks,
Cincinnati's
listen, if you like what you're looking at, and we appreciate all of you new subscribers. If you're enjoying the content, well, you can't love this. You can't love this. But listen, if you enjoy the content that we're putting out, we'd ask you again, go ahead and hit that subscriber button. We got in here in the comments. Sean, there he is. Yeah. Texas fan talks big until Vandy runs it dry. Sean the troll. Here we go. I knew this was coming.
I'm not a Texas fan.
Will go on podcasts talking the SEC is the best conference. Yeah, listen.
Yeah,
I don't think there's any. There's no doubt. There's no doubt that the SEC is the best conference, bro.
There's no doubt.
Sean, you're not breaking news here. I gotta tell you. That being said, look, these guys. Right now, Texas is still. I believe that Sark's not safe right now. He's not safe, and I mean he should be worried about Patterson getting his job or somebody. But anyway. Hey, there's my boy Chris Olivas. Hey, Chris, man, good to see you. Thank you. Appreciate the nice comments from you guys. Sean, you're one of our favorites. Also, you already know that. But hey, guys. Make sure that you're hitting that subscriber button in YouTube. So even if you're watching us on Facebook, we appreciate that. We need subscribers. We're at our watch time. We just don't have all the subscribers to monetize yet. So if you If you're watching us, check us out on YouTube. Hit that subscriber button and share us with your friends. Appreciate you, Chris. Now let's get into a little bit. You know what? Real quick, I'm gonna hit this commercial button real quick, and then we'll be right back to talk about Oklahoma this weekend. Right after this.
Okay.
Hey, folks, Jason Watkins, Hall of Fame College Football Podcast. If you'd like to help support our show, we have a fabulous way for you to do so. We have teamed up with the #1 team merchandise retailer in the world, Fanatics. That's right, Fanatics. Now, the next time you need a new hat for your favorite team, shirt, even memorabilia, all you have to do is go to our website first, hofmedia.us/fanatics. That's hofmedia.us/fanatics. At the bottom of the page, there is a blue Fanatics logo. You click on it, then shop as normal. You're going to get up to 65% off everything in the store, and we get a small commission for everything you purchase. It's a win-win. So again, hofmedia.us/fanatics. That's hofmedia.us/fanatics. You help the show and save a bunch by doing so. It's a win-win situation, and we get to continue bringing you fabulous content week after week. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thanks a lot for being back with us here on the Hall of Fame College Football Podcast with your host, Jason Watkins, and the co-host and frenemy, Bryce Pinson.
Can you
Bryce,
put up a poll question?
We can, yeah.
Put up a poll question. Just put up the Power 5 conferences and ask which team's the worst. Which conference is the worst? Let's see what everyone else says.
We'll do it. It'll be up right after the broadcast, folks. We'll throw it up in the, and then matter of fact, in our it's pretty cool. Right now, YouTube is allowing us to kind of do some social posts like you would see in Facebook or something like that. So polls, different questions that you can ask. I did throw something out there and nobody really got on it. The whole Lincoln Riley throwing a temper tantrum at Arizona. I was expecting my OU guys to like help me out and they didn't. So come on.
They don't like you.
Yeah, it's
no one likes
probably not. And it may be because we kind of trash them a little bit on some things. Listen, Oklahoma does have a major exam this weekend. Baylor, defending conference champions, they've struggled at times this year, but I think we know that as far as the teams in the conference that you expect are going to probably be pretty good, Baylor's definitely going to be one of them. They're coming into Norman this week. If you're Brent Venables, this is the kind of win that you really need to have. And but again, here's the thing: they've after 4 awful weeks defensively, even in the win over Kansas, they looked good. They only gave up 13 last week. It's a nice turnaround for an Oklahoma defense that's been leaky, to say the least. But I feel like this is the kind. I mean, offensively, Baylor's pretty good too. They run the ball very well. Blake Shapen's had some really good games throwing the football too. So I'm expecting this to be a kind of shootout game. If you get something out of this defense and then your offense is able to kind of crack that code that is David Randus sometimes, then maybe that would be a big win for Oklahoma. Especially being at home, you kind of need it. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, well, I'm not going to touch on that. I'm just going to pass out $100 bills real quick. Does anyone like money? I'll pass some out. I look at this game from a fantasy perspective, and I love that you said the word shootout. Okay. Yeah. Because right there, man, Dylan Gabriel on DraftKings is only $7,800, which is pretty low for a guy who can really sling it and a guy with that many weapons. Hey, I hope Oklahoma doesn't play any defense. I hope this game's 50-40, and I hope Dylan Gabriel throws for about 400 yards, 4 touchdowns, maybe runs one in. So I'm picking Dylan Gabriel. If you pair him with the Penn State quarterback against IU, you got a pretty good start to your fantasy lineup.
That's pretty good. I agree with you there. And listen, this is the fantasy cheat code that just told you this. Okay.
So put it in. Just start with those two
when
guys,
it comes to fantasy football, whether it's professional pros or the college game, this guy, he makes his money doing it. So fantasy cheat code, I would definitely agree with that. Listen, the one place that Baylor is really, really bad is in that secondary. And Marvin Mims had an awful game against Iowa State, had some drops. I mean, it just, and they have them. People have bad games, but you would expect that he's going to come back and have a good one. And I would expect that Dylan Gabriel's going to start throwing it to him as well. Jalil Farouk has been real good. Braden Willis is an animal at the tight end position. Again, I feel like if you're going to try to establish the run at any point, you're going to have to do it by setting it up with the pass. And the truth of it is, if you're not stopping this team, this Baylor team, like you did a week ago, which, I mean, listen, when they do it 2 times in a row, I'll believe that they can. If you're not going to do that, you better hope that you get a guy like this that you get Gabriel really slinging it around and finding all his receivers, his tight ends. I mean, look, Eric Gray's a little banged up at that. You know, he was banged up in the game last week. So to me, this is a time for Levy's offense to get high flying. And that's really the only way that, look, you don't think that Aranda's got something planned? I would think that he does.
It's off a bye too, right?
No.
Oh, no. They played Iowa State last week?
Yes.
Okay, so that makes me less happy about it. I'm still happy about it, though. Still run it. Dylan Gabriel.
Yeah, listen, man. I mean, you know, he hasn't really had bad game. I mean, his worst game was Iowa State. They're a top 10 freaking defense in the country.
Yeah.
They're 0-6 in the conference, but they're a top 10 defense in the country. So, you know, or 0-5, whatever it is. Anyway, yeah, I feel like this is but Brent Venables needs to do this. And while we're at it here, I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about kind of what's been going on Twitter a lot. And I had a guy today, he's a recruiting guru. This guy knows his stuff. His name is Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning, folks. But listen, this guy is even saying, I mean,
his name is Peyton Manning.
Peyton Manning. So listen, though, here's the deal. There's been a lot of stuff going around about Todd Bates being a terrible recruiter and all this kind of crap because they lost out on Caden McDonald, who's from Georgia. He was Oklahoma was in his top 5, but he was never in his top 2. They were never in his top 2. They got in that room because of Todd Bates. This guy was the recruiter of the year, according to Rivals in 2020. He's had 9 All-Americans. Every defensive tackle he's coached ever since he was at Jacksonville State has been an All-American at least, or not an all-conference player at least once. And yet you have people going in and just ragging on this cat. I've got a video for you guys that's going to be coming out in the morning. Make sure that you watch that. But I'm going to go ahead and just tease what I'm saying to everybody. Shut up, Oklahoma fans that are bugging on this guy. What is wrong with you? You weren't in the room to talk to these guys before. These 5-star D linemen, 4 or 5-star D linemen, you weren't in the room. Now you are. And look, the Hicks thing, I would think that that's probably going to turn itself around at some point. They're not staying at A&M. That's the next thing we're actually going to talk about. Hey, folks, this is Jason Watkins of the Hall of Fame College Football Podcast. I don't want to talk to you about college football right now. I'm going to tell you about the human cheat code for fantasy football. My co-host, Bryce Pinson. I'm telling you, he's kind of full of crap when it comes to college football. But I got to tell you, when it comes to fantasy football, whether it's college or the pros, only this dude gets it. 9 out of 10 times. And it happens it's happened year after year after year. The playoffs are coming right now, and if you don't want to get second, third, or not even be in contention, you better get in there and start paying attention to what he's talking about. Fantasy Sports _Bryce on TikTok. That's Fantasy Sports _Bryce on TikTok. Follow him if you want to win. Well, no, I think the next thing we're going to talk about is this Georgia playing host to Tennessee this week. What a football game this is going to be. And when you start talking about the college football playoff, the rankings and everything else, I think the shame part of it is I think that these are the best 2 teams easily in the SEC. But one of them probably is not, definitely one of them is not going to make it into the SEC championship game because of just the same thing we talked about with the Big Ten. But also because of that, can you get both of them in still? I don't know that you can. I think that it's going to all depend on who gets into that, to the West side. Because if LSU was to like win and get in, they control their own destiny. If they beat Alabama this weekend and they go ahead and win out, then yeah, they're going to be in that game. They're probably not going to make the playoff, right? That's really your only chance to keep one of these two out is for LSU. They're guaranteed both of these teams are rooting for LSU this weekend, because if Alabama gets there, I don't feel like, well, I guess if they lost the SEC championship game, that would be their second loss. If Tennessee won out or Georgia won out after losing this game this weekend, it could happen. I still feel like it's going to be tough. It could be that kind of game this could be your season right now. Where are you at on it? What do you think is going to happen in this game? I know we've been watching the SEC really hard. I mean, obviously, I love this Josh Heupel Tennessee team as far as offense is concerned. Wow.
Off air, we were kind of talking about this game, and we were talking about how, the closest thing that Tennessee's played against on defense is Alabama, and they had no problem, scoring touchdowns and putting up points against Alabama. So I'm not really worried there. But you know what? Now that we're kind of talking about it, Jason, and we put the rankings in front of us, I have one thing that we kind of left off. Do you feel like Georgia feels disrespected? I know it's 8 points.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I don't know
if I wouldn't. Georgia feels disrespected in the rankings, I think, because
that's what I'm saying. Oh, yeah, that's what I meant, the rankings. But I'm saying we were talking 8 points. Tennessee can stay with them. I think Georgia's the better team. If they feel disrespected, they might win by more than 8 if they can. If they can, they're going to.
Well, I think they're going to want to. Yeah. I think that here's the thing. What I would tell you is that, and Tennessee's defense isn't great. I mean, look at what they gave up to Alabama. But what I would tell you is that Alabama's defense, I don't think that it's the same as Georgia's.
Still good.
It's really good. And on top of that, but they put 50 on them.
Yep.
They put 50 on them. So is Georgia with that offense the way that they're and Kirby Smart is still in the Stone Ages when it comes to that offense. And that quarterback ain't great, man. They're just not. So while I think that they can slow down Tennessee, I definitely do. I don't know that I don't believe that they'll stop them completely. And they're not running away from them either. Yeah. I just don't see them running away from them because they just don't have the greatest offense. I mean, look, Stetson Bennett, they've struggled in stupid games that they shouldn't have. You know what I mean? What was it? Toledo. Gave him a game. Missouri almost should have beaten them. So, and Missouri's trash. They lost to freaking Vandy. So, you know what I mean? I can't even take that serious. Now, are they allowed a bad game? Sure they are. But all I'm telling you is that if it's me and I'm picking somebody, I'm picking Tennessee here, even though it's on the road. I think that's the hard part. If I'm getting points, 8 of them, damn right I'm going with Tennessee.
So you're saying you're sprinkling in money line Tennessee?
I would. I think they can win, dude. I do. I think again, the reason why is the reason why is simple. How are you going to stop these guys? Look at the way Hendon Hooker's playing. The guy, to me, he's already won the Heisman. If he plays good at all this week, the Heisman's in his. It's there. Unless CJ lights it up against Michigan, doesn't lose, and they go in undefeated, which maybe they do, maybe they don't. But
if Hooker has one loss at the end of this year and CJ does light it up, Hooker still gets the Heisman.
Maybe. If he has Georgia, a good game, he's got to have a good game.
Yeah, if you beat Georgia and Alabama.
If he beats Georgia,
that's what I'm saying.
It's his.
I said one loss.
If he loses, maybe not. But I feel like right now, this is Hendon Hooker's. His Heisman moment. I mean, good grief. It was unbelievable game that he had in that game. Again, though, I just feel like this is a game that I'd love to see him play it again. You know what I mean? I'm betting that you're going to want to see these guys get after it again, and there could be an opportunity. Maybe not. We'll find out as we get further along. But I really feel like this is one of those deals where, man, this could this is going to be a heck of a game. I'm not going to miss it. There's no way I'm missing this game. But staying in the SEC, Bryce, your boys at Texas A&M, Your boys at Texas A&M. There are rumors of swirling, brother. Swirling. And I want to know what you think about this.
You know what I think? It's freaking dark in this room.
Yeah,
I'm looking
man.
at
I
it,
can
and
barely
the
see
sun.
you.
I'm in
Yeah, you can't do it
Arizona.
that way. Yeah, you can't
I'm
do it
not
that
going
way.
to, but I'm just saying,
Yeah.
in Arizona, all of a sudden there's no sunshine out here. It's just raining. Yeah, and I guess it's raining in Texas A&M pretty bad too. I think Jimbo.
turd floater, bro. It's a turd floater. It, it's just and the turd is Jimbo, man. The guy has
Yeah.
lost control of this thing. He's lost control. And I gotta I mean, the word is that Jimmy Sexton's been in town. That's his agent, and he's been there for a week. Okay. What's he doing there? Okay. First and foremost, there's a couple of different things. There's been a lot of talk about West Virginia and Jimbo because they want to get rid of Neil Brown, something fierce. Ask the Golden Blue dude, they're freaking out over there, right? They want him out. In his fourth season, they're trash still. They're not happy with him. He's from West Virginia. And listen, if he could even get half of this buyout, it doesn't really matter what he gets paid. You know what I mean? When he
You know
gets
what?
West Virginia. So
Yeah,
if that were
exactly.
to
Double
happen,
dip. Good
yeah,
for
listen,
Jimbo.
look, man, they're not going to give him 86 and let him walk. They're just not going to do that. I don't think that there's a way. If they don't win another game this season, which they still got UMass, they should win that. You know, but what I'll say is that if he doesn't win another one, they're not going to pay him $86 million. They're just not going to do it. Now, the other rumor going around is that there's as many as 6 5-star players that are definitely going to the transfer portal. You can figure that the indefinite suspensions from a week ago are among them. That's the second time that's the second time that he's suspended these guys. You can assure that that's 2 of them. And then, and the other thing is some of these guys that are, have committed to A&M, you tend to wonder, are you going to stay? David Hicks, guys like that, because maybe they do, maybe they don't. They dropped a bag of cash on him, obviously, but they're so deep at D-line too is what was weird about that. We were just talking about that on that other show this morning as well, that these D-line guys that are all going there, they're 5-6 deep at these positions. And I mean, when are you going to get to play? You know what I mean? I feel like it's all been about money, and it's been at the expense of culture down there. And this is why you see them in the tank. I mean, they are literally in the tank right now.
Yep.
Maybe some of these rumors are true. Maybe that when there's this much smoke, there's got to be a fire somewhere, and it ain't just them smoking that weed up in the damn locker room either.
Well, I'll tell you what, man. Whenever someone like Jimbo Fisher comes to your program, you expect to be winning by now, and they've been patient with him. They have been patient.
5
you can't
years,
say
bro.
they're.
You can't say every year except for the COVID year when they went 9-1.
You can't say they're like Texas where they just freaking fire them, hire them, fire them, hire. They had a good coach and they got rid of him. I don't know what Texas is doing, but it's clear that Jimbo's not the guy at A&M. I think we all know it. Texas A&M knows it. They made a mistake, so now.
But it's just like A&M to do something stupid, like extend him $95 million because they think he might be going to get the LSU job. And I wonder if that wasn't Jimbo's agent floating that bullshit out there, because it's just that. It's trash. Oh man, Jimmy Sexton is the man, dude. He is the guy that he pretty much. I want to say he's at least 3 or 4 top level coaches are his guys. Saban being one of them, and I know and then Kirby being another one. So yeah, he's got, man. And so if anybody's going to get this buyout negotiated, it would be him. Is that the case? Is that really what's going on? I don't know. And Sean Holiday saying it's hooker season, boys. Hey man, I agree with you, man. We're with you. I think it's his to win. I think he may have won it, the Alabama game, so long as they don't just like look awful this weekend. So who knows? And it's hooker season. I love it. That's funny.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't even have repeated that one on air, but whatever. But I thought it just went right over your head.
But
Anyways.
he's talking about
I don't know about
Hendon. He's talking about Hendon. He is a troll, but he's talking about Hendon.
And I mean,
Hooker.
Jason used to live in Vegas, so he's cool with it.
Yeah, listen, man. They got to make their money somehow, bro.
Oh, move on.
Say?
Move on.
What do you want me to say,
I
bro?
can't stop.
Sheesh.
Stop. I can't.
All right. So again, I would tell you that to me, this is one of those deals where I wouldn't be surprised at anything that happens here. I would probably be most surprised if you see Jimbo back, even though that money tells you they can't fire him. I think that they may. It's not like they're short on money out there. And if he's saying that now he doesn't like the culture that he's built, and wants to go home to West Virginia, maybe they're able to talk him down to something stupid. But
I mean, if you're still making that much money, go coach for free.
I'm going to throw up another. It's going to be another. We're going to put up another poll.
Okay.
Will Jimbo be back next year? What is your most likely? Will he be back? Will he take X amount of money and go? And also,
will he be
what's
back
going to
in
happen
2 weeks?
Yeah, no shit. Hey, listen, I'll tell you what, if they lose to UMass, he can force his way right out of there because New Mexico State went on the road and beat their ass. So,
yeah. Oh, is that why New Mexico State's like number 3 in the country from the bottom now instead of number 1 in the country from the bottom?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think UNM replaced them there. Yeah.
No, they're like number 10. Still, Colorado's down there, which is kind of crazy. They're down there with New Mexico State and New Mexico.
They're bad, bro. They're bad. And so is I want to say a Northwestern, and then
Northwestern beat Nebraska.
Yeah, everybody beat Nebraska early on, bro. Wasn't it Georgia State or something like that got them, or Alabama State, one of those HBCU schools,
South Alabama, something like
that. Yeah. So yeah, everybody was beating them early. Yeah, they got their coach ran out of there in 3 games. 3 games, get out.
What the heck are you doing?
If they waited 2 more weeks, they would have saved themselves $15 million. They're like, fuck that. It's $15 million can go right out the door. They didn't even care. All right. So we'll see what happens with Jimbo. Folks, again, like and subscribe.
Scott Frost to College Station. I like that.
Yeah, that's a great. It's just what they would do too. Yeah, just what they would do too. Yeah, I love it. I love that one. I definitely do. Guys, if you want to help out this podcast, we got a great way for you to do it. The next time you are shopping for any kind of fan gear, merchandise, whether it be a jersey or a hat or even memorabilia, make sure that you go to our website first, hofmedia.us/fanatics. That's hofmedia.us/fanatics. Click on that Fanatics button on the bottom of the page. Then go shop as normal. You're going to get up to 65% off everything in the store just for using our link. We get a small commission. You get up to 65%. It's a win-win, and you get to help us continue bringing out this content that you're enjoying week after week. Guys, one of the last few things we're going to talk about here, the Big 12 media rights. They signed a deal this week with ESPN, or it was actually on Sunday. I didn't get to do my live on Tuesday, man. I've had a bad toothache, but we're still here. They signed it on Sunday. It looks as if it's going to be upwards of, when you start getting in bowl money and things like that, about $50 million a season. That's 20 ahead of where your Pac-12 was at. So this is a pretty good deal. But the funny thing that I keep hearing about it is that, even without Texas and Oklahoma, we get an $8 million bump. The deal was signed 6-7 years ago. Okay. It's been trash. And so is it really, and particularly with inflation and all this other crap.
I knew that word was coming.
You knew it was coming. And with inflation, and on top of that, the explosion of college football, where you're getting $100 million in the Big Ten and $100 million in the SEC, is it really a bump?
$8 million, yep.
Yeah, is it a bump? Because I got to tell you, Texas and Oklahoma, their bump is $58 million. You know what I mean?
It's clear we're at the Power 2 conference. I don't know what the ACC is doing, but there's 2 conferences.
They're in
and
trouble,
there's
man.
everybody
I don't
else.
think they get to their deal is
Ooh.
till like
I'm in the desert. Do
2037.
y'all hear that thunder? I'm in the dang desert, and
I
it's
didn't hear
freaking
it.
thundering like crazy.
Yeah, about to get down out there.
Yeah, it is.
Pricey gonna go drive in it too. Yeesh. But I mean, come on, guys. What do you think about that? Tell me what you think about that, because that's just weird to me. That and then of course you expect that they need to spin it that way, and it's definitely more than the Pac-12 is getting, because they're losing their marquee teams, and they're probably going to end up losing their other marquee teams. I think Oregon and Washington are out the door. I think they
Yep.
have to be.
Yeah.
And so to me, and they've even said at the Big Ten, we've talked about this on past videos before. They've said within the Big Ten that they're not done expanding. That stuff is still going to happen. To me, I still believe that the Pac-12 is in dire trouble. This deal is already done with the ESPN and the Big 12. So they're locked in, to what they're locked into for at least a little while. I think that the Texas-Oklahoma staying until 25 probably helped with this deal. So for them to say all that trash is still funny to me. It just really is. It's funny. It's an $8 million raise from freaking 5 years ago whenever you got this deal. So what are we talking about? You know what I mean? I just feel like that's kind of a silly deal. But again, the bump for Texas and Oklahoma is 58 million, not 8.
Yeah.
Who wins? You can say what you want, but you wish that they were staying because they're worth much more money to your conference than they are not being there. So to try to say that is silly talk. It's just silly talk, man. All right. And the end of it, we will go ahead and end up with this. I know, Bryce, you got to get out. We're going to break down just what do you think about, obviously, Texas Tech at TCU? I don't think that's there should be no question here. Texas Tech's going to get rolled.
And I think TCU feels disrespected being 8-0. And if I was a betting man, which I am, I'll probably swallow those points and watch TCU run up that score against Texas Tech.
Yeah, and I think Texas Tech kind of look, man. Last week they had an opportunity. Their fans are leaving at freaking halftime of a game that they're still in. And now you're going to go on the road, and everybody's going to be pumped up at TCU. I think that do I think that this is a place that an upset can happen? No, I don't. I think that the Red Raiders get smoked here. I would be super surprised.
It's a bad time to play TCU. It's a bad time to play TCU.
It is. And at home, even if they get down, they win. They've done it twice in a row. They were down 17 and 18 in back-to-back weeks, and they won them both. Against good teams.
Well, and that's what isn't that what the committee's kind of throwing them at number 8 for? They're like, hey, y'all can't even get off to a good start. Y'all are having to play comeback all the time.
Listen, though, they beat Kansas State and they beat Oklahoma State, who are both ranked in this college football rankings. So, on one hand, it seems like they're giving the Big 12 love, right? Because they've got Texas even in there at 24. So on one hand, they're giving the Big 12 love, and then on the other side, they're saying that they're trash, I think, by saying that. Yeah, just not right. Exactly. And maybe they're throwing a bone or whatever, but because Texas is going to blow that. They are. And they get to blow it this week at Kansas State. Look, this is another one of those games that should they win? Maybe.
Yeah, they should.
They probably should. Now, what I would tell you is this. If without Adrian Martinez, that Kansas State offense
looks better,
but way better. Bro.
Yeah, bro, I told you that guy's trash.
It wasn't close.
I told you that guy's trash, and they walk in there, and all of a sudden, this dude just slinging it.
Bro, almost 400 yards in the game.
I tried to tell you, Adrian Martinez is that guy's terrible. He's terrible.
I don't think he's terrible. I just don't think that he's
Well, you don't think he's terrible because you watched him destroy Oklahoma 2 years in a row.
Yeah, and I watched him.
That's why.
Yeah, he almost got him the year before. He did. He almost got him the year before.
That's the only team he can play against. He's terrible, and Oklahoma he has their number. Sometimes you just got a team's number, but he's not a good quarterback. He's a turnover machine. He can't really throw. He can run on you, and he can dang sure run on Oklahoma.
He hadn't really turned the ball over all year though either.
Oh my gosh,
he hasn't.
Is he a senior? No, I'm not talking to you. I had a thought. Is he a senior? Because we would love for him to transfer to Texas next year and just play one game against Oklahoma. And then we'll go back to Quinn Ewers or Arch Manning. But let's just let him play one game against Oklahoma to
Shut
beat
up,
the
dude.
socks off the Sooners. They can't stop the man. Adrian
Are you
Martinez born to
going-
beat the Sooners.
Shut
That's what
up,
his
bro.
freaking.
Will Howard, Will Howard comes in, has a big game. He was actually no, that's not right. That was last year. So yeah, but Will Howard last week had huge game, 4 touchdown passes in the game, and then of course you had Deuce Vaughn doing his thing
That
as well.
offense looked
Really good, really good.
Mhm.
And I think that a lot of people coming into this didn't think much of him. But again, I feel like Scott Frost, the College Station, still making me laugh. Anybody could go there. Obviously, Auburn did go ahead and fire Harsin this past week.
Deion Sanders.
Deion Sanders. I'm with you there. It appears that they may be trying to get Lane Kiffin as well.
That Sean, aren't you Ole Miss guy? Is that
No, Sean is a Arkansas guy.
Oh,
he's an Arkansas
are you sure?
guy. Yes.
Okay.
I do. I'm pretty sure. Or I know that's what he's told us. He could be lying. He's a bullshit.
No, that makes sense. I thought he said Ole Miss.
He
last
said
week, but
Arkansas.
okay.
No,
Right.
no.
bad.
And listen, I feel like I don't know that if you're. Do you want? Listen, at Ole Miss, you're not really expected to beat Alabama all the time and shit like that. When you go to Auburn, you're gonna have to now. And I don't know that Lane wants to deal with that. I don't know that I'm not saying he's not ready. I just don't know that it's a doable thing.
I don't even know if there's a bet. Like for me personally, if I'm Lane Kiffin, I can't even think of a school in the country that makes more sense than Ole Miss. I would just stay there for the next freaking 30 years.
Unless you go to Texas or something like that. No.
Nah, stay there for 30 years and retire. You're in a good spot. Don't even go to Texas.
Yeah, but that's not Lane's way. You know better than that. Anyway, going back to this Texas game, look, again, I'm going to ask you this. What happens if they lose this game? And let's say because this is what they do. They've actually, out of 12 games, they're now 3-9 in games that they have led after the half since Sark got there. Some of those being on the road. As we said, they're 1-7 on the road. But they're 3-9 with a lead after halftime. If they go in and they do that again, I know everybody keeps saying that they're not going to fire Sark. How much longer are you going to deal with this? You know what I mean? When you go in and win and you're leading and they make an adjustment and you don't. I mean, what do you think about that?
When you beat Oklahoma by 100, they'll deal with them for another year.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
One more year. I don't know either. You know what? He just honestly, Jason, he just better win, because if he loses, he does put himself in a bad situation. The same way that your coach at Oklahoma better start winning. You know what I'm saying? Because, and I'm not saying that he's in trouble. No, I'm not saying he's in trouble. Listen, I'm not saying he's in trouble. But what I am saying is, whenever you're at a big program, you better just win games.
Yeah, you got to win games.
You're supposed to win.
And especially games that you get ahead in. You can't continue to show that you have a hard time adjusting to whatever's going to happen, because things do happen. And these coaches at this level adjust and can change things up. And he's not showing that he can adjust when the other team does.
I mean, it's a bad look when you have to hire Gary Patterson, just to help you tackle and play defense. That's a bad look.
Well,
Gary Patterson might need to be the head coach of that football team, honestly.
Listen, look, you can get guys to come in and run this offense. Now, you lose Arch Manning if you get rid of I think almost definitely you lose Arch Manning.
You got Quinn Ewers. You just need to keep one of those guys. Keep one of those guys, you're good.
Well, but I mean, what about the future? If Quinn plays like he's playing this year, next year he can go to the league.
Yeah, but timeout. It's different now, I think, Jason. I'm running out of time, but I want to say this. It's different now, I think, because there is no certainty that if you go to the league that
Yeah.
you're, gonna be any good and that you're ever gonna get the big
I
payday.
think with this
But I'm
guy's
playing
arm, he's
college
gonna be good.
football.
He's gonna
Okay,
be
I
good.
agree. But I'm playing college football at Texas, getting paid millions.
Yeah.
Why would I leave? I
That's true.
have certainty here.
Yeah,
I'm the
he's
starting
already
quarterback
driving.
at
He's
Texas.
already driving like a freaking
Yeah, why would I leave?
An
I
Aston
think the
Martin.
game's changed. I think the one and done stuff, I mean, the 2 years and move on stuff to go get paid is over. I think we're going to see guys stay till they're seniors a lot more often than we have in
No.
the past.
Maybe. Yeah, I mean, you're
Why
gonna get
not?
paid. Yeah, you
Let
don't.
the kid
As
from
I said,
Oklahoma,
he's already driving an Aston Martin. I mean, what are we talking about?
the kid from Miami who's getting $10 million. You think that guy's going to go try to get drafted and see if he can get a payday in the league? That's a pay cut. He's going to take a pay cut to go to the league.
Absolutely.
He's staying 4 years.
When you get 10 million, yeah, that's a cut. So
cut.
guys, I don't know. We're gonna find out what's gonna happen here over coming up. But I really do feel like, as you said, I think that if you're Steve Sarkisian, you better win. You better win one of these road games. You better damn sure not lose to Kansas next week or week after, whenever it is that they go back, because they got both games in Kansas. So yeah,
biggest rivalry in college football, Kansas, Texas.
Yeah, bro. The guy I was on the
house
thanks
divided.
Thanks a lot, by the way, guys, from the Lone Star podcast. They kind of threw me under the bus a little bit today, but and being on their show, but I enjoyed it. It was a fun show. But I was giving Christian, the host there, a little bit of a hard time about that as well. I was like, well, you may have beaten Oklahoma this year, but you still hadn't beaten Kansas yet. So, and it looks like Jalen Daniels may be coming back this weekend. They got Oklahoma State. If they have Jalen Daniels again, I could see them losing again too. So, we'll see what happens. But guys, we're gonna go ahead and cut it there. We appreciate you showing up for the pod. Yeah, rest in peace, Kansas Go Post. Yeah.
hey, and throw up there. Hey guys, I want y'all to hear this. Throw up there. I'm taking ASU over UCLA. I think it's a good bet. I'm sprinkling in some money line for sure because I think ASU is going to beat them, and I'm saying straight up beat them. ASU's beating UCLA.
Wow. And what? Okay, you got to give me a why here, because
that quarterback's good, bro. That quarterback they brought in last week, he's really, really good. Hey, maybe you don't bet the farm on it, but you know what I'm saying.
Sprinkling some money too. They did beat Washington, so
yeah, ASU's not bad. The tight ends are looking great. One tight end scored 3 touchdowns. They got like 3 tight ends. All of them are great, and they have this quarterback that can spread it out and throw the ball. They got a good running back. They're going to beat UCLA this week. They're going to beat UCLA.
Hey, listen, I believe you. I'm going to go with, if just to have fun here, I would probably throw a little bit of money on Tennessee. I know it's on the road. I know that they may or may not win it, but when you give them 8 points and they have an offense like they have, I think that they're going to hang around in this game. I just don't think that there's any defense in the country that's going to stop this Tennessee juggernaut of an offense.
Yeah,
I just don't see it.
I agree.
I mean, I would take that 8 all day long. And probably bet the over. If it's anything less than like 90, I would bet the over. You just never know. So anyway, guys, I appreciate everybody showing up. We will see you here on the next one Saturday night. I will be back live with the boys from the Lone Star podcast. So show up, see us then. We're going to talk about all these things. We're going to have some storylines to talk about right after it goes. You want to hear it first? Come to the Hall of Fame College Football Podcast. We'll see you then.
Have a good one.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.